What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. It is me, the dad bod god himself, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, I have a very, very amazing guest, Ms. Niki Nitro, and I'm very excited to have Niki on the show. But before we get into tonight's show, I just want to take a quick second. Firstly, thank you to the MWA Podcast Network, which we come live to you every single week for Shooting the Shit Uncensored, and also the plethora of other shows that we bring you, which we'll get into in just a moment. But before we go any further, let's take a quick second to thank some of those amazing sponsors and help me keep these fluoro fucking lights going all the time. So first up is healthvape.com. Now, HealthVape is your healthy vaping alternative, ladies and gentlemen. If you know someone who's one of those nasty motherfuckers that smoke cigarettes, or you're one of those vapor people, the people that walk around and chuck big fucking clouds out at people, right? You need to get them onto healthvape.com. It is the healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals, and they're vitamin infused. It's like vaping a Red Bull. So guys, do yourselves a favor and check out healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Now, while you're checking things out on the good old World Wide Web internet thingamy-bob, check out sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, sleefs.com. They are your They are your one-stop shop for all your athletic wear. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks, headbands, knee guards, boots, mouth guards, and guys, you hear me talking always about the dirty boxes. They've sent me another box of these dirty boxes. I'm going to say I threw out all my other boxes, guys. I'm going to say boxes one more time just to annoy everybody and say boxes a million times in a sentence. But guys, these boxes are the most comfortable boxes that I own. They stay fresh, they stay dry, and they've got funky designs on the front of them to keep your significant other giggling when the belt buckle comes off at the end of the night. So check out sleeps.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD and get a 10% discount. But guys, MWA Podcast Network, we are your one-stop shop for all your wrestling multimedia entertainment podcasts, whatever it is that you're looking for. We've got Killing the Business with former ECW original The Kingpin, Angel Medina, and King Mega. We've also got Knights of the Gimmick Table hosted by the Dead Presidents and Cade Lothbrock. We've got the NXT Roundup. We've got Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Guys, just do us a favor, wherever you're finding us, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, any podcast platforms, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to stay notified, like, share, comment, all that good shit. It helps in all the algorithms to get our stuff out there more, and we appreciate you. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest right now. She is a professional wrestler. She is an actress. She is a model. She is a singer. She kind of does it all and makes me feel lazy in just announcing it. But I'm going to bring her out, Ms. Niki Nitro. Niki, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on the show.
G'day. Thanks for the massive big rap.
Oh, always. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Niki, it's great. You know, for me, it was the first time to see you wrestle in person was this past Saturday. And, you know, you wrestled another Australian veteran in women's wrestling for Australia, you know, Catherine Nixon as well. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, and I was just saying before, you ladies beat the holy hell out of each other. And by far, I think were match of the night.
Oh, thanks. So kind. Yeah, no, she's a tough cookie, that one.
Yeah, she definitely is.
Yeah, I had a few welts, even though I had, you know, like a shirt on covering, but still after it, I looked at my chest. I was like, yep, that was good.
And was that like the first match that you had in a while, or was that like how long in between?
I'd never wrestled Catherine Nixon ever.
Wow. So that's like your first time match for both of you.
Yeah, and that was the first time I ever met her as well. So it was quite interesting. Yeah, it was so nice to actually work another veteran that understood the business.
100%. And because she's been around for like what, since 98, 99?
Yeah, 99 like me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, so you guys have been around for a long time and kind of been around the same kind of circuits as well for the longest time, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like when you think about it, there's been so many so many come and go, but yeah, her and I, we stuck at it and we kept together. And yeah, like even though we were working for the different companies, we were still, you know, active. And yeah, it's been a good run. It's been very interesting. Yeah.
So you mentioned, you breaking in around 99, but who actually started training you? Who was your first trainer?
His name was Andy Harpus. He
Animal
was an Australian great. Yep, Animal Harpus. Yeah. Yeah. I owe everything to Andy and his son Daniel and Cobra Tire, which was Justin Costello. And yeah, like I learned so much about the business, like the old school mentality of the business through those guys. And it's been really, really interesting over the years. Like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned Andy Animal Harpus, and he's a guy who's a legend, in Australian wrestling, and also probably one of the
Yeah.
sweetest human beings that I've actually met in wrestling or in life. Just a very, very humble, nice man as well. So,
Super
but
kind. Yeah.
yeah, how did you find like training under him? Because I'm assuming because I went there and seen his training school a couple of times, and I didn't see many women there. Were you one of the only women training there at the time?
So what happened was originally they had Poison Ivy, Jess, and like she was one of the greats as well. And
Yeah.
and I come in and it was actually my dad, like because I always loved wrestling ever since I was little. But it was my dad that actually went to a show in Australia and he come back and he's like, Nick, there's this wrestling. I want you to come to this wrestling. And like, yeah, I was still at school then. And then in school holidays, ACW, Australian Championship Wrestling, my dad took me to one of the shows. And then after that, it wasn't all the high fly stuff that really got me. It was the main event, which was a coffin match, and it was on fire, and it was like Andy Harpus, and it was also Mad Dog, and like the older Mad Dog. And yeah, I was like, oh, I can do that. And my dad looks at me and he goes, prove it. And I'm like, all right, no worries. So, I had to prove it to him. And on the Tuesday, I went to the training and I met Andy, and he was quite scary at the beginning. But then, yeah, from there, it was really good. And I was taught by a lot of really experienced workers at the time as well. And a lot of the psychology as well throughout, like certain aspects of the wrestling business itself, which was really good too.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
And were you always a fan of wrestling growing up? Like, was
yes.
that the thing that you and your dad always sort of watched together, and that was the thing that sort of motivated him to sort of get you into it?
It was my nan that actually motivated my dad to get into it. And then, like, because my dad didn't have any sons, like I'm the firstborn, and I was like the tomboy. My dad's like basically said, "Oh, Nick, there's his wrestling," and my dad actually didn't think that I would continue to do it. He thought it'd be a fad for me, and like I'd do it for a few years and then just give it away. But it just grew on you. It's like, no matter how many times you want to leave the business just draws you back in. It's like, like it's a never ending open wound, basically, like, without the hurt, but it can, like there's hurt and there's love, and yeah, you follow. But yeah, like ever since then, like my dad, he's been massive support, and my mum, God bless her, she was a massive support of my wrestling too. So yeah.
And how did you find, like, once you started going through the training and the stuff for it? Like, did you go in there with the respect for wrestling, or was that something you were like, like what was your mindset going in and meeting someone like an Animal Harpus and meeting all these guys that were like intimidating figures that I'd imagine for a young girl to sort of meet straight off the bat walking into a wrestling school?
Well, when I first went there, it was I met Andy Harpus after a show, and oh, hello, Thomas. And
Thomas.
And my dad introduced me to Andy, and my dad didn't know who Andy was either at the time, but he went up to Andy and he said, this is my daughter, she wants to be a wrestler. And Andy's like, he looks at me and he gives me this look, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, uh-oh, what have I got myself into? But then like I ended up meeting a couple other people as well, and like he basically brought me in with open arms. But the best advice I was given was at the beginning, and it was, no matter how long you're in this business for, there's always going to be somebody that's better than you. And you need to always make sure that you have your opponent's life in your hand and they have their life in your, like, you know, vice versa. But if you make your opponent look shit, then you're going to look worse. So,
100%.
you know, yeah, you have to look after and have that respect and that, you know, that bond, that connection in the ring, because, you know, to put on a great show, you got to have a connection with the person that you're working with. So, like, mentality. Yeah.
Sure. And how long, like, did it take before you to start having your first match? Because I'm assuming, like, the training process, like, you know, Animal Harpus was a fantastic trainer. Did he try and rush you to get on the card? Because obviously women were fair and few between. So I can imagine, you know, beautiful blonde young girl, we got to get her on the show straight away.
I was rushed so quickly. I think I did about 2 months worth of training, and then I was shoved into my first ever match against Poison Ivy, and I was the babyface back then. And I made my debut at Warrawong Shopping Centre just here, and I lost. And like I was a full-blown babyface, and I lost in my hometown. I was like, man. At the start, I was like, why don't I lose my hometown? But then I understood, you know, like, because she was a veteran, you know, you got to respect the veterans, and you got to earn their respect, you know. So it doesn't matter how many times you lose a match, if you're earning people's respect that you're working with and you're in the same locker room with, then, you know, like you're gonna gain their respect. And that's like number one, I believe, in this business, is everything has to be about respect.
100%. And I think if you start carrying on about, oh, I'm not winning this match, then they're just going, a veteran's going to go, you're a fucking mark. Like, come on, man, get the fuck out of here. Right?
Yeah. Like I've never, like, to be honest, I actually never really been that kind of way. Like I've lost many matches, you know, and then at the end of it, I'm like, oh, I lost. But then I think about it, I'm like, you know what? There's going to be one day, you know, that I'm going to get my win, and it's going to be like just out of nowhere, and people are going to be like, wow. But because I was bad guy, see, I was a bad guy for like 20 years pretty much. And then it's just recently I've turned tweener, and then like people don't like the terminology like tweener, but basically the character has to transform. So 100%. I'm in like that transforming stage at the moment where I'm, you know, transitioning into the good guy. So I'm going through that kind of stage. It's very different to me, I have to say. Like that show that you watch, it was very, very different.
But like, are you talking like, you know, because you've been a heel for so long now, you want to try and challenge yourself and see how you fare as a babyface?
I feel like my Niki Nitro character, like, yes, she works very well as a heel, but I feel like, as you said, I think it is a bit of a challenge for me now to see how far I can actually take this babyface run, you know, to see if this babyface run is going to develop the Niki Nitro character more, because I felt like I was feeling a little bit stale on, you know, like on the transition of the Niki Nitro character in the heel aspect side of it. Like I felt like it was very, it was extremely, it was great, but I felt like it was stale as well. And I felt like it needed to transition something more. But then it was actually OVW that suggested to me, how about you go a character with multiple personalities, like an old school Mick Foley? And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could pull that off. And they're like, no, give it a go, see how you go. So I did the first one, which was AWS. And I have like this weird obsession with Mikey Lord at the moment. So we've got this thing going on. And like it's working pretty well. But it was interesting to have like a singles match against, you know, another veteran, Catherine. And she plays a really good heel. You know, like she's fantastic in her works. And it was easy for me to take on the role because I had somebody that was so experienced in being a heel as well. So, you know, like we had that mutual understanding of that. But
and be able to sort of, if you started getting heat, she can be able to quickly, easily step in there and switch it and be able to see that coming as well, which is a good thing to have, you know.
And that's the psychology of it all, you know, because, you know, it's like, yes, your audience is important, but you're there to do your thing, and you're there to entertain, and you're there to make sure that the audience knows, if they're newcomers, what you are and what your opponent is, and if they don't understand that, and if they're confused, then you're not doing your job, basically. So
yeah, you're not telling the story properly.
yeah, that's it.
But as far as, over years of wrestling, what has been, what's been like the major highlight in your career for your wrestling?
Oh, I have so many. I'd have to say, let me think. I'd have to say probably my tour with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
LCW, Legend Championship Wrestling in Newfoundland. And I was on tour with Roddy Piper, Scott Steiner, and Rhino. And like a lot of the works that Piper, like a lot of the psychology in the matches as well, like Piper taught me, made so much sense. And it was so good to listen to somebody that, had been, in the big leagues and had toured and had done so much stuff, but at the start wasn't really, he was the underdog, but then, he became larger than life with the Piper's Pit, and he put himself out there, and like he just taught me a lot of stuff about that, as well as Al Snow, because Al Snow, like, he knows his works. Like that man, he knows that the business, and he taught me a lot as well, because I caught up with Al Snow and did a fair few shows with Al Snow as well. So like I learned so much from them, and I'd have to say the tour, the LCW tour, was like my biggest highlight of my career, because I never thought that I'd ever get any opportunity like that. And I still am friends with a lot of the people nowadays that I was on tour with back then.
That's incredible. And, you mentioned, getting opportunities, with Al Snow, and Al Snow, who is one guy who's got probably one of the greatest minds in the business, but next to Ray, and is such an intelligent guy. And I remember, actually having a conversation with him, and he told me about the worst wrestler in the world who showed him the best psychology he'd ever seen in wrestling. Yeah. And it was like the funniest stories I've ever heard. Like, it was like this guy who was in a tag match who refused to get pinned, where he was supposed to like take the pin, right? But he just kept on kicking out. And the other guys in the match were like freaking out, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, trying to get him out of the match. He kept on interjecting till the point where they just let him pin them, because they went 40 minutes over. And then it was like, he got the biggest pop of the night from a crowd that didn't give a fuck about the show at all. And then Al Snow was like, that's psychology. He goes, it's a shit way to get over, but that's psychology.
Yeah, like he says to me, you don't even need to take a bump in a match. If you go out there and you do your job, well, then that's it. You've done your job. So it's like he also sat me down and he picked my brain. And there was one question that he asked me, and I always ask newcomers this question, and I'm not going to give the answer. I'll give you the answer later on. But Al turned around and he says to me, what is the only fake thing about wrestling? And I sat there, and there was me, Chris Hamrick, and Al Snow, and I'm thinking, I rattled through my brain. And I'm like, what the hell? And then it just clicked. And it was like, holy shit. It makes so much sense. And he's like, boom. And I was like, oh, okay. But I can't tell everyone, because I've still got to use a question for the newcomers that come in. But so I'll tell you it later on. But like, he was great. Like, and I'm still, I still talk to Al now. I still talk to a few of the boys, and the girls as well. So like, if I have any questions or anything like that, I'll ask Stevon Dudley, and like, I've sent him through some things, and he'll go, okay, maybe you can fix this up, you can add this in, and yada yada. So like, it's good to have like that feedback of people that really, really know the business.
How did the opportunity at OVW come about?
They contacted me. They contacted me 2 years ago, and it was just by, I don't know, I think because Al has always liked the way that I conduct myself and the way that I look at the business, and how respectful I am of the business. Because to me, like, yes, there isn't much money in wrestling in Australia, but it's just it's the love of it, you know, like there's so much more that it can give you. And I've been in very dark places, and when I've really been at the lowest places, like wrestling for me has really helped me, you know, come out of those certain places. Like last year, I lost my mum, and I was actually going to retire. And before she passed away, she said to me, Nick, promise me you won't give it up. You know, like, promise me that you'll start singing again. Promise me you'll do all these things. And I said, I promise, Mama. So, you know, like, I'm basically like, I'm doing this also. I love wrestling and I love all that stuff, but I'm also doing this because, you know, this helps me to live my mother's legacy, basically. Yeah. So
Was
it
your
means so
mother
much more.
always an entertainer as well?
My mom, well, when we were younger, yeah. But then my mom got sick, but she was still really witty. She was super, super witty. But yeah, like, you know, she got very sick and she wasn't able to, you know, do certain things and that. But my mom always loved to sing. And I remember when I was a kid, you know, she would sing all the time and she had the most beautiful voice. But then she got throat cancer, and from there she couldn't sing anymore. She had no voice. So she's like, Nick, can you be my voice? Can you sing for me? So I'd sit first, come over to my house, and like we'd sit there and I'd just sing her songs. And then she was just, my mom was great. Like, I love her to death. But yeah, like she was a bit of an entertainer. She was a model when she was younger. So yeah, and then she come to Australia, and then she had kids and threw that life away. But
Where did she originate from?
my mum come from England, from the UK.
Oh, nice. And then she came over
Yeah.
here and had children, gave up the modeling life.
Well, my dad actually stole my mum from England. It was a very, very interesting story there. Like, my mother grew up in a very horrible situation, and my dad saved my mother's life, basically. So yeah,
Oh, wow. That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. I only found that out a couple of years ago because my mum always kept things secret. I
Yeah.
think in
Well,
protection.
yeah. Well, I think as well, like, I think myself as a parent, you know, you want to try and
Mhm.
keep your kids away from, I think, past negative stuff like that,
Yeah,
they could impact them. So, you know, as a
yeah,
parent, I can definitely understand, you know, your mum's thought around, you know, keeping that a secret. But that's
yeah.
craziness. That's absolutely wild. But it's good to see that, you know, you're deciding to keep your mum's legacy going. But yeah, another, you know, thing that you do as well is you act, and you're in Housos, and you've been in that show for quite a while as well. You know,
Oh yeah.
how did the opportunity to come to work with like Paul and the guys from like Fat Pizza, Housos, and then the rest of the amazing shows these guys do?
Um. Oh gosh, it was such a long time ago. Paulie, contacted me out of the blue. Oh, Sonny Siaki's on. Hey, he also trained me too. Um, and yeah, like it come out of the blue, and then I it was really funny how it happened. He's like, "Oh, come to the office," and then I came to the office and I did my first audition, and then it was all good, and then I ended up in hospital, and freaking, I don't know, like what happened. I just, yeah, like it. I had like really bad dehydration, and then I had to wait a couple of days, and then I went back for another audition with Paulie, and he says to me, "All right, act like a bogan," and I was like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean act like a bogan?" He's like, "Act like a bogan." I'm like, "All right, then, no worries." So I basically mimicked, you know, where I grew up, and
Yeah,
and and then yeah, I just like there's a scene like in the older like season 2 of Housos where I borrow two packets of smokes of Shazza and I pay it back on a Tuesday.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when I do audition, I don't like to sit down and do audition. I like to stand up and, you know, be in the character and that,
Sure.
like all that. So I ended up mimicking all of them, and then I basically wrote that scene in there because like I did the audition that, you know, I borrowed 2 smokes off Shazza and I had to pay her back like on Tuesday. So I think Paulie ended up adding that. But he liked the aspect also that like it was different because it was I was wrestling as well. And
Yeah,
Paulie, like as you would have seen on SAS, you know, Paulie is basically a guy that likes to get in there and he likes to do everything, which is awesome.
yeah,
So yeah. And then like he incorporated that into my character. So basically my character is an alcoholic pothead obsessed with wrestling.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and she's like the Sunnyvale barmaid. But yeah, it was so good, like, you know, to see all the old crew again.
Mr. Sonny
Aw.
Siaki says, Mr. Piers
Aw.
Austin, if I could just say, Niki was one of my best students I ever had, and I mean that sincerely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That is
guy, he was awesome though, Sonny. Like, I learned a lot from Sonny.
amazing performer, man, as well.
Oh
Like, just
yeah,
one of the guys that just I always felt like never got his due. Like,
the
never got,
flying.
never really got that opportunity. The flying Elvises, sorry,
Yeah,
it was
with
amazing.
Jimmy Wang Yang. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
I
so
love
I
it.
said to Sonny heaps of times, I'm like, man, you need to come back to wrestling.
Oh, 100%. And he looked great and was just, great promo as well. Like, I was a
Like
huge fan.
he still looks great now. Like he's still, you know, like a lot of them are still in like really like top condition. And they I reckon he's definitely got another run in him. Definitely.
Oh, it's funny, like Alan Funk, who
Mhm.
wrestled as Kiwi in WCW, who's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I was producing his podcast, and he looks in better shape now than he did when he was wrestling on Nitro. Like his arms,
I
like
know. They're like massive. I know. But you
like
think about it, right?
like I would
Sorry.
talk to Alan, and he would just sit there and be like, yeah. Just he'll be driving his truck, having a video call, and next thing you know, just pull out a steak and just start like chomping on it and driving. I'm like, this is fucking nuts, man. Like,
Yeah, I know. It's like you think about it, and it's like all of like the veterans, like, you know, they look amazing. Like they're in such like condition. Like DDP, for example, look at him, like incredible. Like, you know, X-Pac, like all of them, they're in top condition now, and like it's sad the way that a certain business, and not gonna say, but I'm sure you understand, has gone, which is really sad, you know, because you need to bring all these guys back in that know the business, that know the psychology of the business, that know how to entertain. Because the last thing you really want to see is like one worker doing the same shit as the other worker, you know, and like the matches are similar to all, you know, and it doesn't have any flavor, and it's not going anywhere, and it's just, yeah, I could go on and on about it, but
you know what? It's funny because I asked the question the other day. I think and it was like, who in the current landscape of professional wrestling that you see in major companies will be remembered in 25 years from now? Who will be the Stone Cold Steve Austins, the Triple H's, the Rocks, the Undertakers, the Mick Foleys, the Ken Shamrocks, the Sonny Siakis, the Stevie Richards? Who will be those guys? And it's very hard to look at it. And I don't think it's a performer's fault. I just think of how the product is portrayed. It's too polished to a certain extent.
Yeah, I find that it's a bit too PG. Like, the one good thing that I do have to say is that they bring it into gender match, you know, which is important because, you know, when you look the ratio women to men, women matter too. You know, we do matter, and it's hard because like it's so male dominated, and it always has been. And, you know, like you ask, like if you ask, you know, Sunny, like the first diva, Sunny, she said women are there to look at and that's it, which is back then, yes, women were there to look at and to be beautiful and to have, you know, this certain look about them. But then you had people like Lenlani Kai, Judy Martin, you know, like all these ladies that knew how to work. And it was like, you know, they bring it. And then you had like the leader, and you had the Trishas, you know, like you had all these looks, like all this glamour, and like you look at the things that they could do in the ring, and it's like, holy shit. And that's what kind of inspired me too, because I was like, man, you can have a certain look, but you can work, you know. And I'm not the best wrestler in the world, and I'll pull my hands up to that, you know. I'm not. But in saying that, when I go out there, I give everything that I have, you know, because I want to entertain those people that have paid money to watch me, and a whole bunch of other people too, because at the end of the day, we're there to entertain. And if someone walks out of that place happy, going, holy shit, you know, like, and blah, 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 then we've all done our job.
Yeah,
So
100%.
like,
And I think that's the major thing with wrestling in itself as well. Like, we look at intergender wrestling and we look at, for example, Australian wrestling.
Yeah.
If we didn't have intergender wrestling, and I'm going to say this, Australian women's wrestling is probably the best in the world. And hands down, you look at some of the talent that we have here and the talent that comes out of this country, it's hard to deny. But I think that's a solely point to our women wrestling regularly against top male performers in this country, because the only way you get better at anything is if you do it consistently and you do it with a level of talent that is a higher level of talent than what you are. So you are constantly learning and evolving.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's another thing that Andy said to me. No matter how long you're in this business for, there is always new things to learn. And it's so true. And he told me that from the get-go. And it's like, I want to learn new things. I would love to, get some new stuff in, because like my mentality, I'm very old school mentality, which isn't bad. Like I don't think that's bad at all. But, the new generation of wrestling, there is certain things that I feel, like that I need to spruce up on too, like to better myself and, to better like my opponent and, and our matches. So I think that.
And Robbo exactly hits the point on the head right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like, me personally, I feel like by having this turn, this will also allow me now to be able to learn new things and not just be so grounded in what I already know now. It gives me that opportunity to challenge myself and try and do all this other stuff. And you know what? If I can't do it, well then, diff shit. At least I've given it a go.
But do you think as well, like the Housos work that you're doing with the acting goes well in as far as like your character development as a performer in wrestling? Because it's like, this is a different type of performing acting, right? So it's like, you can think, okay, same character work, etc., but it's like you're performing for a camera, you're performing for a different angle. Have you found that has been a huge benefit for you when you're performing on shows that are being, recorded or streamed or, videoed for the show? Has that been a benefit for you as far as like understanding camera and positioning?
Well, when I was a heel, I used to just say, "Oh, get out of my face," I've always like, shoved the camera out of my face because I wanted to be an asshole. But yeah, like it's helped a lot. But in saying that, like through the acting side of things, right, when you're doing a choreographed match, like a fight scene, you have to punch past. You don't connect. So like that part there, when I just did a movie called Hotel Underground, which hopefully it's by a director called Steve Ravitch. It should be released this year, fingers crossed. So that like I had to transition into instead of like connecting a punch, I had for past. So that was a little bit like tricky, but in saying what you like to your thanks, Jace. In saying, like, to answer your question, I feel it has helped with the positioning of certain angles and cameras and stuff like that. But I have a really bad habit of pulling the most ugliest face.
Well, just in the wrong, just getting the wrong moment of getting captured. Oh.
Yeah. Like I was sending this photo the other day. I'm like, oh shit. I had like 4 chins. I'm like, man, okay, yeah, I gotta make sure I put my face out next time instead of like looking like, oh, what's his name? That bloody green monster thing. I can't remember. You know that big slimy green monster thing. Oh, he's got some random name.
Is it Shrek?
No. It's like, he's like a slug. I can't remember his name. It'll come to me. But yeah, instead of looking like that, I have to make sure my chin is elongated. So
yes,
think like a model.
Chin up, not too high. Eyes looking at your nose. Smile. Look up. Look away.
And
look down.
Suck that tummy in. Suck it in every time you get an opportunity.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is how I usually walk.
Yeah. At least I didn't walk with no coconuts under my arms, so that's a good thing.
Oh, it's it's actually funny. Before the show, I'm talking to a lot of the guys, and Scotty Paulo
Yep.
tells me, he's like, "Yeah, say that I've got a pretty hard head, like my head's like a coconut." And I look at him,
Oh,
I'm
it
like,
is.
and I look at him, I'm like, "Bro, I'm not saying that." And he's like, he just started laughing. He's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the bald white guy, no, not going there."
That's what I said to the other day after their match. I looked at Scotty's head and I'm like, man, you definitely got a coconut head. He's like cut over the back of his head. He didn't even care. All of them were pissing out blood. I was like, freaking out. Here's me freaking out the back. They're like, it's all good. It's all good. I'm like, Pac-Man, you're all bad.
Have you ever
But
done any of those ultra violent matches yourself, like bringing in elements like thumbtacks and barbed wire and stuff like that, or is that something that you've always steered away from?
well, Flame and I actually used to do some hardcore stuff like back in the day. And we had this one match and had like keyboards and bins and all that, like the old school hardcore stuff, not the new generation hard school stuff. But man, we had a few matches there where basically I knocked myself. Well, she gave me a drop toe hold and I bloody knocked myself out with the bin. However, we still continued the whole match. I couldn't remember anything of it, but we still covered, which was a great thing. So, we've done a few of those over the years. It was great, like something that was different back then, because I don't think girls were doing that kind of stuff. And then it was when we formed WXA, that's when, they gave us opportunity, like Flame and I, to do these kinds of matches and stuff. It was fun, but yeah, I don't know. Would I do it today? I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I probably have to cover myself up because this is the last thing I want is like what happened to bloody Otis. He got a big gash down the side of him. Like, yep, nope.
Yeah,
I'll cover myself.
yeah. I looked at taking that, at like seeing them take those bombs. I'm just like, no, no, no. That was way too much. But
I know, squirmish.
But also, like, tell me, what was your time at TNA like?
Oh, and TNA. No, I didn't go to TNA. I got offered an opportunity for TNA.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, that's okay. Nah, I got given like with Samoa Joe, get me some tickets and stuff, and Sonny, like that's when Sonny was around too, and I went to the show, and that's when Vince Russo and Terry Taylor were there, and I got introduced to the boys, and they're like, oh, we want to give you a dark match the next day. But unfortunately, like at the time, I had to fly to Vegas. I was like, shit, no. So I was in contact with Samoa Joe, like D'Lo Brown, sorry, not Samoa Joe, with D'Lo Brown through emails, constant emails. And he's like, Nick, let us know when you come over, rah, 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 rah. And then, everything changed. Dixie Carter came in and, it all changed. But in saying that, I do hear that OVW have connections to TNA as well, to Impact. So you never know what can happen. If it's destined to be, it's destined to be. If not, well then, it is what it is.
Is going back over to OVW something on your future plans?
Say that again.
I said, is going back over to OVW part of your future plans?
Oh yeah. Nah, the boys, like I'm constantly in talks with the other manager of OVW, and Al when he's got time. But yeah, no, like I'm in constant talks with the boys. They're letting me know. Apparently, they have a summer tour coming up, so they're trying to get me on that one. So that'll be interesting. Should be good.
Great bunch of guys at OVW as well. Rip Rogers.
Yeah.
Sort of guys, just and being a place that has just produced some amazing talent as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like when you think about it, like, well, Kenny King, for example, he was one of the old timers there, and like I love Kenny. I love Kenny to death. He's a great person, and like I still talk to Kenny now. He's lovely. He's got his podcast too, and yeah, like like when you think about the OVW, because it was developmental for WWE originally. Like it's amazing. I'm so glad that Al Snow has taken over the reins there, and like he's developed it into something, like that's bigger, which is great. Now they've got all these different networks and stuff as well, and it's allowing, the talent that is in that show to shine, and they're getting opportunities. in TNA and AWE. No, AEW, sorry. I'm constantly because we got one here too. But yeah, like they're getting, like these talents are getting opportunities to go and work for the bigger companies now too, which is great. And wrestling in America is, I don't know, like we are advanced here, but we're not as advanced as what the USA is and the UK.
Yeah. I think as far as like you look at the UK and the US indie scene as well, like they like the US in particular, like they can run, they do run shows 7 nights a week. In Australia, you could not, I don't think you could run a show in Australia like Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Like I don't think a promotion could run like more than one show a week, like and be sustainable.
Yeah, that's it. Like it would be amazing if it could be like that. Like it would honestly allow talent that is new talent to actually get an opportunity to get out there, and to show what they have, and to show like their talents and like the character and everything all about them, their psychology, like of their own little match and like what they want their character to be. But unfortunately, it's never going to be like that. My dad said that to me a very long time ago. And I'm like, nah, Dad. Like there will be an opportunity. There's going to be opportunity. He goes, Nick, you need to go to America. The only way that you're going to get to be able to get out there is if you go to the States. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to the States. But then I took on and, I got that opportunity for the tour. And then I ended up going over, and I went over for WrestleMania. I went over originally with a guy named Chris, bless him, Chris Taylor. He was like a little brother to me, but he passed away. But like we went over there, and that's where we got to meet all these different stars, and that we stayed at Sonny Siaki's as well, and like he showed us the reigns and he took us places, and like he was really, really good to us. And then from there I was like, I have to come back. Did that tour, and then I said I have to come back again, and got to work with Goldie, and I got to work with Al, got to work with so many different people. And it was just, I have to say I'm very humbled, and I'm very fortunate to have been given the opportunities that I have, because I honestly never believed that I would get that. I never thought that I'd get those opportunities to show who Niki Nitro was, and it's been a good run.
Why did you think you'd never get the opportunities to show who Niki Nitro was? I
guess because like if you ask Marty Jones, he'll tell you. He's like, Nick, you've got it, but you just don't have confidence in your wrestling. And that's the answer. Yeah, it's my wrestling. But like I feel like there has to be so much more that I need to do. I feel as though that I feel like I have more to give, and then like that's a good thing, because if I didn't feel that I had more to give, then I should just give it up.
Sure, absolutely. Who do you think, like looking at some of the up and coming talent in Australia, both male and female and non-binary, who are some of the talents that you haven't had a chance to work with that are in the Australian scene that you'd love to work?
Who would I like to work? Vixen.
Vixen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd love to work Belle. She'd be wonderful. Yeah.
She'd be a wild match for you, I think.
I love her. I just love everything about Vixen. She just, I don't know. She's just such a beautiful person too, which is so crazy weird, because you look at her and she's like, looks scary as, but then she's like this sweet little giant.
Yeah, she looks like an intimidating figure, but absolutely lovely sweetheart of a person.
Yeah. So I'd love to work Vixen. I'd love to work Savannah Summers again, but she's a sweetheart too. Who else would I really like to work? There's so many people that I'd like to work. Let me think. I don't know, males. Let me think of males. I'd say I probably would love to work Mikey Lord.
That would be a fun match.
I'd be shitting bricks, but man, it would be fun.
That would be a wild match. And you know what? Just make sure you're used to the gimmicks. Just
I know.
expect the gimmick.
I know. I'll be the one slamming him on the Legos, not the opposite way around. Stuff that he can go head first into the chairs.
He'll be taking all the bumps, and you'll just be getting all the shine throughout the whole match.
We're like, yay! But yeah, no, like there's so many people, you know, that I actually would really like to work. I'd love to work Catherine again. I think it would be really good, because you know of her experience as well. You know, there's a lot that Catherine still has to give. You know, and she's such an incredible performer as well. So, Sonny, I ain't taking bumps into Legos. But yeah, like I just
fuck that.
Oh well, they're having an argument.
Yeah, I know they're yelling at it. Jesus, look at this.
Oh well. Oh shit.
The comments section lighting up on shooting the shit tonight. But you know, I feel like you and Catherine would actually have like a good sort of like 3-month feud. I think like it'd be able to tell like a really well story. You know, if a promotion could do that, I think you two would be able to tell a great story. Just given the experience and knowledge of how to work a crowd and work an angle, I think you two ladies would annihilate it.
Yeah, I think there really could be a pretty good storyline there. Like Sam was shocked when we told him, "Hey, this is the first time we've ever met," and he's like, "What?" And we're like, "Yeah, we've never met prior to this." And he's like, "Man, if I had known this from the beginning, we could have made this a big storyline." Rah, rah. And it's like, well, you could always make it a new, you know, like a big storyline the next show that you have, you know. But yeah, no, I think, you know, just in that mutual respect as well. Like Catherine is very mentally the same as me when it comes to, you know, the business. And that's a really good thing to actually talk to somebody that actually gets you. Because like, yes, no disrespect to all the new guys that come in, because I have so much time for a lot of them, you know, like they're so respectful. And that's one thing that is very dear to my heart, because that's how I was brought in this business. Everything is about respect, you know. Yep. And like I'm the kind of person, you know, as you know, I like to hug people instead of like shake their hand. I'm a hugger person. Yeah, and that's one thing that Catherine said to me. She's like, "Hey, is it okay if I hug you? I'm not a you know, a handshaker." I'm like, "Yes, of course you can hug."
which is surprising, seeing how like you ladies just beat the living fuck out of each other for like
no, it was so
8 minutes
fun.
or 10 minutes, you know, like
it was fun, man. Yeah, those chops were brutal, but they were worth it.
Oh yeah, like I could hear him. I was just like, geez, that was a bit.
But Sam did say, make it hard, you know, like make it loud, make it hurt. And we're like, okay, then. It just sucks that, like, I'm so glad that I covered myself when I could have went out of the ring, but it was all right.
But so. Like as far as wrestling, like, you know, how long do you see yourself continuing to wrestle? Is this like another 10 years for you? Have you got a couple more years? Do you want to focus more on acting? Like, where does wrestling play in your long-term future?
To be honest, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Actually, I think it was my best friend, Nikki. She said to me, "You're going to be the next Mae Young." And I'm like, you know what? I think I will be the next Mae Young. I'm not going to give up until my body gives way. If I have to be powerbombed through some tables at 83 or 82, how old she was, man, I'm going to do that. You know?
Just don't give birth to a hand on national TV, please.
Oh, yeah, no, I won't give birth. Yeah, nah.
The angle with Mark Henry is all good, but like
I know that was interesting, that segment. God, it was yeah, it makes you think what they were on at the time.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, someone
once
said.
Yeah. and the old school liquor acid strips.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just licking frogs and going,
It was like ping ping ping. But yeah, no, exactly. Like I don't know, like I feel like, you know, I'm still living on, you know, I did lose, I have to be honest, like I did lose a lot of love for wrestling at one stage, because I felt, you know, like I was saying before, that I felt like I was getting stale, and I felt like, you know, because it's very hard in Aussie wrestling to find a good company that is respectful and that, you know, has time for you and not just for themselves. basically. And I, you know, like I'm not saying this for all workers, because it's not true. It's not all workers, but there is some workers out there that are very much like that. And you know what? Fair enough. You know, that's their thing, but that's not my thing. I'm the kind of person that, like, you know, if I have advice, if someone wants advice from me, I'm going to give them that advice, because that's what the advice that I was given, you know, and it's important to hand that down, because, you know, that's the only way that you're going to bring new people into the business. You know, people are going to have that respect, and then they're going to, you know, when they're in the business for as long as I've been, and, you know, the newcomers come to them, and, you know, they're going to give that. So it's like, you know, pay it forward, basically. So, yeah, like it just, I don't know, like I fell out of love with it for a bit. But then when I did the AWS show against a certain wrestler, and I can't go into detail with that wrestler because I don't want to, I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, like the love for it come back, and it was like, man, it felt like when I first began again, and it was like, it was incredible. The feeling of it was like, holy shit. You know, this is the same feeling that I felt when I first began in this business, and it really helped me to fall in love with wrestling all over again. And especially, you know, because of my mother's wish as well, which was, you know, has a lot more meaning. And for, you know, like Niki Nitro, because it was my mum that actually made me keep the Niki Nitro name, because I really didn't like it at the beginning. And she's like, Niki, think about it. In years to come, people are going to remember Niki Nitro. I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. But then, like, you know, thinking back now, it's like, she was right. You know, like, I have my haters. You know, we all have our haters. And you know what? I don't give a shit. You know, you don't like me, that's on your back. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. You know, but then you've got people that like me and you know, want, like, if I can inspire somebody, then I'm doing my job, you know, and it's also helping me as well.
I think whenever you're a level of success in anything, there's always going to be people that have jealousy and that just have to troll and hate. And to be honest, I thrive on that shit. I actually need new haters, because the last ones became my fans. So you know what I mean? Like, but that's the thing. That's when you know you're at a level of success, when people are bitching about you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not doing anything, then people aren't saying shit about you.
Totally true. That's why I'm like, cheers for the plug, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like anytime I get a troll, I'm like, thanks for the view, dog. Like, move along. Let's move on, brother. Like, it doesn't faze me none. But ladies and gentlemen, is that time for the show? It is time for 60 seconds with Piers. How we're going to do it, if you're new to the show, I'm going to fire a bunch of questions off at Niki. She's got 60 seconds to answer as many as she can. Niki, when you're ready, you give me the go ahead and I'll start the clock.
Okay, go.
Snapchat or TikTok?
Snapchat.
Which Chris is hotter, Hemsworth, Evans, or Pratt?
Pratt.
Favorite song to sing at karaoke?
I Will Survive.
If you could be on any reality TV show, what would it be?
Married at First Sight, so I can reject them.
Oh, damn. Okay. Would you rather toe-length fingers or finger-length toes?
Toe-length fingers, because the other ones are gross.
If you were given $1 million to start a business, what would that business be?
The business would be to help those in need.
Plain fairy bread or fairy bread with Nutella?
Fairy bread with Nutella all the way.
How many x-rays have you had?
Oh, God. I've had probably 10.
You are auditioning for Australian Idol or some other singing fucking show. What song do you sing?
I sing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
In 5 minutes, you are being shipped to outer space. What two personal belongings do you bring, excluding human beings?
Oh, fuck. What do I bring? Water and a long supply of Tim Tams.
There you go. That has been 60 seconds with Piers. Thank you very much. Guys, this has been a fantastic interview with Niki. Niki, I feel like this hour has just flown by, to be honest, and I'd love to get you on for part two, because when an hour's gone straight away, it's just been a fantastic show. So we definitely want to get you back on somewhere down the line. But before we let you go, why don't you tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, where they can find you on TV, and where they can buy your merch and support you?
Oh shit! I don't even know all of my things. Instagram, Niki Nitro _ Haley Housos official. TikTok, Nicole Sharrock. That's my real name. I got Twitter, Niki Nitro 22, YouTube, Niki Nitro. Merch. I'm actually getting that all together now. So as soon as I get that, I'll put that up on my page. You can contact me on my Facebook pages, Niki Nitro's fan page. And Niki Nitro. Did I say my TikTok?
Yeah, you said TikTok.
Okay, yeah, that's it. And what else do I have? I can't think of anything else. It'll be all on my thing. Yeah. Oh, actually, I just want to plug one more thing. My band, Vicious Circle. Yeah. So if you guys, I should have my first official gig soon. So if you can go to my fan page, Vicious Circle Rock Band. It'll be awesome if you can give us a like there too. I'd muchly appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure to share those details on MWA's social media as well. So you guys can keep up to date. But guys, until next time, also huge shout out to our sponsors, healthvape.com and sleeps.com. Use those promo codes MWA pod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Guys, make sure you tune in this Saturday, 12 p.m., I should say, which is Friday, 8 p.m. USA Eastern, for Killing the Business with the two kings, Kingpin Angel and King Mega. So make sure you do not miss that, guys. Guys, without further ado, it's been amazing, Niki. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. But until next time, I'm Piers. This is Niki Nitro, and we'll catch you again very, very soon. Mwah!